In a world filled with intergalactic space battles, metahuman destruction on a global scale, and psychopathic serial hauntings, there's only one team who can make sense of it all. When your world is overrun with rampant pop culture, call Loop and Larry, Guardians of Geek.
Oh,
yep. 88th explosion. 88,
here we
88.
are. Here we
That's
are. You didn't think we were going to do another one, but we did. Hey, everybody, I'm Loop.
And I'm Larry.
And this is Guardians of Geek, episode 88. We hadn't done like a podcast in a long time, and then we just did one, and now we're doing another one.
I know we are literally on a roll now. We've got 2 in the can. This is quite a feat for us this year. I mean, really, we're doing all right.
It's been a bit of a crazy first half, as we mentioned in the last podcast. So now we're settling down again. So we've got a couple more scheduled after this for this season, and then we'll pick up again in the fall. But we have to do a few in the summer this year.
Yeah, we're branching out. We're experiencing podcasting in a whole new season.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we normally don't do summer ones, but we just to catch up with our season, we kind of have to this year. So
some warm weather geeking out. That's kind of a new territory for us.
So, anyways, we're back. We got a pretty good show. So let's just jump to top pop.
All right.
Hey kids, it's time for Loop and Larry's Totally Tubular Top Pop!
All right, here we are, top pop, where obviously we talk about anything going on, like on TV, in movies, or just things that we're interested in. So, Larry, what's happening with you right now?
Well, as you know, this is the one of my favorite times of the year. It's the blockbuster movie season. And this year we've got a lot, and I have been doing my best to cram in as many movies. I've been to the movie theater like 4 times in the last 2 weeks.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I'm going again tonight because there's just too many movies out there. So
there's a lot. There's a lot.
In the last 2 weeks, I have seen the Phoenician Scheme, the new Wes Anderson. Big thumbs up. I won't just spoil it for anybody else, but I really liked. I'm a huge Wes Anderson fan. This one ranks right up there.
You remember what I thought of the last one, so we'll see how this one goes. Like
this one's. I mean, it's very Wes Anderson. They all are.
Yeah, they all are. Yeah.
This one, I'm quite confident you'll like more.
Okay.
Than the last one, because it's different enough, and I just thought it was fantastic. So it's great. Then I saw The Life of Chuck. The new Mike.
Oh yeah, I want to see that. Yeah.
It's out of theaters, so good luck trying to find it.
It'll be on demand. It'll be 3 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's the Mike Flanagan directed, Stephen King written a new film, not a horror movie.
Yeah,
but very, very Stephen King. Like it's very Stephen King, and you'll be seeing this one on my top list of movies 2025.
Ooh.
I won't say much more than that, but here, this will give you a little indication of how much I really like this movie. So as you know, because we've talked a number of times, I don't really read, but I like this movie so much that I actually bought.
Oh God,
the hardcover. It just came out like a couple of weeks ago, as at the time of this recording, because it's never been a standalone. A standalone story. It's like a novella, so it's been in a compilation book before, but they just released it as a standalone story, so I had to buy it, and I think I'm actually gonna read it. So
I was gonna say the first 10 pages will be worn, and that'll be about it.
Yeah, you just mark my words. I will.
Wow, words are marked.
That's how good this movie is. Yeah, and then I saw F1, the new Brad Pitt movie.
I have zero interest in that movie. Like
it's
zero.
So good. It's so good. Like seriously, it's. I'm a big. Oh no, I can't remember the Joseph Kosinski. I think that's his name. The director.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of his. He did Tron. He did Top Gun Maverick. And this, I'm a big fan of his. I think his movies are so well crafted and they're so actiony. This one is no different. It's spectacular. Like
All
it is
right.
really. I mean, I'm also a big racing fan, so that was a
Yeah.
big part of it. But it's great. So I highly recommend that one. And then
I'll
tonight,
watch it, but reluctantly.
oh no, you're gonna watch
Oh.
it. And then tonight I'm going to see finally the Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, because it closes in theaters tomorrow, as of the recording of this. And I hadn't seen it yet, and so I realized last night I really want to see it in the theater, and now today is literally my last opportunity to do that. So I will be seeing that one tonight too.
The do you know I've only watched the first like maybe three of that series.
What?
I don't know. Again, it's like I'm not an action guy. Like I like some action movies, but like
But you love
I,
James
like
Bond.
I know, but it's like
But
I don't know what it
they're
is.
they're literally like,
I'm not a big Tom Cruise fan. Like I
so
find him
that
kind of swarmy and kind of like I don't know. I just like some of his stuff. He's not like obviously he's good because he's been around for a long time. I don't know what it is about him. I'm not a huge fan of, but the
well, and that's my wife is the same way. She's not a Tom Cruise fan, so she doesn't really care to watch his movies very much. And that could be the make or break, because obviously it's all Tom Cruise all the time.
yeah,
So
they look like they're pretty good. I just
they're
never
aw-
like.
they really
I
really
will
are.
say I did buy them all in like a box set with the intention of
Oh,
watching them all.
okay.
So I like
Yeah.
because I remember liking the first one or two, but I don't know what happened after that.
Well,
The last one I saw was the one where the glasses exploded and the person he threw them and they exploded. Was that three?
oh yeah, that sounds like it might have been three. Yeah,
Yeah.
they get better from there. Like they
Okay.
actually, the last few are spectacular. Like they're
Okay.
and they really are right up your alley. Like if you like the James Bond, especially the Daniel Craig era
Yep.
James Bond, that's what this is.
I admire him for doing his own stunts at his age. I mean, I can
And there's
barely get
that
off the
too.
floor, and he's like hanging off planes. I mean, I give that guy full credit. Like
Yeah.
he is pretty spectacular actor. Like I mean, as far as what he does, I just never been a fan of. I think because he got into so much formula movies, like
Yeah.
it's like whatever was popular, suddenly he was like he's a
In it.
bartender and he's like a
Yes.
whatever. He just they're running out of things to make him do, like basically. Like so I got kind of like bored of him in that. But
Fair enough.
I'll revisit it. I'll revisit
Yeah,
it.
you should revisit it. You should. Yeah. Especially this year, since the Oscars are going to have a stunt category.
Okay, well now
Oh, yep,
that's
that
got Tom Cruise written all over
yep,
it.
all over it. So now you're gonna have to watch it so you know what the stunt was, right? Yeah.
All right. All right.
Just watch it for the stunts. Yes. So my days have literally been taken up by sitting in a dark movie theater enjoying the blockbusters of the season.
Oh,
And
that's
I
awesome.
and I live for it, so I'm all good there.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I've been kind of doing the same. I like because I was like we talked about in the last podcast. I've been moving, and then I got a cold, and then I'm like this year's been like rough on me, but I mean just busy and whatever. So now I'm in the process of catching up,
Right.
which is hard because like you kind of have to keep up because like you're kind of doing, but when you have to catch up, it's hard because you're just constantly trying to like. It's like treading water, right? Like just trying to keep up. I was surprised how much stuff came out in the first, like just even 4 months of this year.
Yeah.
Like there's so many shows, so many movies. So I've been just trying to keep up with everything. So I just been watching all these like a lot of like the horror movies that have come out this year, like The Monkey and like all these type of ones. There's been a few that might be on my worst list of the year that have come up. One of the ones I actually was like quite surprised with was like Final Destination. I got around to seeing that.
Oh, is it good? I haven't seen it.
I liked it a lot, actually. I thought it was really strong. Like as far as like it was fun. It was like at least it kind of kept you interested throughout. And there was some good kills in it too. So it was.
Is it the kind of, do you have to have watched the other ones?
No.
Oh, okay.
There was probably a few Easter eggs from the other ones, but you didn't have to watch it. It was its own thing.
Okay.
So.
Did you? I have to ask because Loop was texting me as he was catching up, and was just starting The Last of Us season 2.
Oh yeah,
a couple weeks ago, and at at the time you weren't overly thrilled with it.
Yeah.
Have you finished it? Have you finished
Yeah,
season?
it was fine. It was fine when I finished it. It still wasn't like I like the first season better.
Okay.
But this season was okay. Like it
Okay.
was I found it all right. Like
There
there
was-
was there's a big like shocking moment in it I wasn't expecting.
and he
Like and that was like in the
texts
second
me.
episode and I'm like what is happening right now? Like
He texts me and he's like, "Why am I even watching this now? Now that this has happened, why am I even bothering?"
well then I rolled right in from that to like Walking Dead Dead City and I'm like
Oh.
why am I watching this?
I don't know why.
That's a high contender for my for the worst of the year for
Really?
series. Yeah, it's
I,
just
I
like
honestly didn't even know it was on. Like this, it has flown so like far under my radar. I didn't even
and the
notice.
Daryl Dixon one starts soon too, like
Oh,
his series. Like, and I think that's the second or third season. I can't remember which it is.
I don't
So
understand this. I don't.
I think it's the third season because the second season had Carol in it. So the
Oh,
Book of Carol or whatever they called it,
right.
and then this one they're both in. So
Okay.
so anyways, that's what I've been out doing right now, just like trying to watch like watch all these shows and get caught up. I got to get caught up on Andor. I haven't watched that. I'm a little overwhelmed by it because it's like got 12 episodes and I'm like, oh my god, now I got to watch all these now. And I'm like, it's like,
Okay, my recommendation is you put everything aside and watch Andor. Forget everything else. Nothing else matters in this entire world.
okay,
Just focus on those 12 episodes because that's all you need in your whole life is those 12 episodes of TV. I'm not even kidding.
all right.
They're
I also watch Family Guy. I'm like,
What?
I'm like in Super Team Canada and.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
watching Invincible. Like I got like there's so much stuff. Like I just can't believe the amount of material. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm still watching all this stuff, and then still watching like other like shows that I have like that I'm trying to catch up on as well. Not catch up, but like rewatches and stuff. Like
Yeah.
so like Arrested Development and things like that. Like so. I'm
Oh my
just, like,
gosh, you're going way back.
yeah, I'm on almost finished season 4 of that. As part of my resolutions, I wanted to rewatch that whole series again. So.
Right. Fair enough.
Lots going on, Larry. Lots going on. I don't know how I'm fitting all this in, but
Oh, okay. Well, the other thing that we had going on, which we were so caught up in everything else that we didn't even talk about, was our trip to the Niagara Falls Comic Con.
oh yeah, we did a con already this year.
Yeah,
A big con.
it was about a month ago now.
Yeah,
But so we're not going to go into a great deal of detail because it's that's old news now. But we realized that we didn't talk about it on our last podcast. So
yeah,
the only thing I really wanted to bring up, I mean, it was a good Comic Con. There were lots of great
Yeah.
people. Tommy Chong was there. That was kind of fun. There were lots of fun people. The big guest this year was Warwick Davis, and like we were pretty. I mean, he's a pretty big name. Like that's a pretty
yeah. He's doing
exciting
tons of stuff
guest.
I
Like,
like, and yeah,
yeah,
he's great.
we were pretty stoked to see him and to get our photo ops and all of that. So we had our photo ops. So first of all, the photo op, like with like when you get the digital print as well, was almost $200. It was like 190 something dollars for the photo op, and this was literally, I think, the fastest photo op
Oh my
I've
god.
ever done. I mean, we were in with him for, I would say, a count of 5 seconds.
Yeah,
Like it was literally like go in because he had his hands in his pocket, so there was no like shaking hands or anything. So you literally go in, stand beside, click, and you're out. Like they were trying to get so many people through there, and it made me sort of question the whole photo op thing because $190 for 5 seconds of FaceTime with somebody, and then I got the picture, brought it home, and I put it in my album with all my other things, and I literally have not looked at it since then. And I'm like, well, there's $190 that out the window. So I'm now starting to reconsider the value of these photo ops for me. Anyway, it's
yeah.
just,
I still love a photo op, but my problem is this like they're just getting so expensive.
Well,
Even
that's
like the lowest tier celebrity like that's been in maybe like a walk through like the buddy of a buddy in a movie or
Yes.
whatever is they're running like $90 to
Yeah.
$100. I remember when we first started going to the cons, $100 photo op was like oh my God, I just spent $100 on this photo op. Like it was crazy to spend $100 on a photo op. Like we did that with Batman and Robin, like Burt Ward
and that was $100 for both of them.
yeah, and I did Hulk Hogan, and he was $100, and that was like years ago now.
Yeah.
But now 100 is like a standard price
For anybody.
It's crazy.
It is. The thing that I like though, like I think more what I'm gonna probably start doing is table selfies. Not all of the celebrities offer them, but they're less expensive. Like one of the other people who was there was oh now I can't remember pronounce his last name. Peter Ostrand. He played is that what his name? Peter
I think so. It's around. It's something.
Something like that.
You can say anything. No one will really know.
Yeah. He played Peter. He played Charlie Bucket in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the original one from the 70s.
He's still a child as well. At this years later.
Today. Yep. Yeah. But I was really excited to meet him because I mean, that's one of my favorite movies, and he was doing a table photo, and it was like $60 or something like that, so it was a lot less. But when you do a table photo, you get FaceTime. Like we both talked to him for like a good 5-10 minutes about the movie, about his experience, and then he comes around the table,
like the production of the movie, like all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. So that to me is worth it. Like I'm happy to pay $60-$70 for a table selfie, because then you get that FaceTime, you can talk to somebody. But the actual paid photo ops are just like $200 for 5 seconds of something. And then,
it was so fast. Like I remember we walked out, we're like, that was it. Like it was like, like I know they're usually quick, but like this one was like really fast. Like it just seemed like they did some celebrities are like take some time with like at least a few seconds with you. I know they don't have a lot of time on those because there's usually a big line of people, but some of them are usually pretty quick. But there's some that are just you walk up, you stand, boom, you're out. Like they don't even say hi sometimes. Like it's so weird.
And that's kind of what happened with Warwick Davis. Like he didn't. I wanted to say something to him, so I said, "Congratulations on your BAFTA." He said, "Thank you," and that was it. So literally, he said one word to me. Well, two, I guess. You, but that was it. And I don't. If I hadn't said that, he wouldn't have said anything to me. Like he wouldn't have spoken. So it was a really weird experience.
He said, "Move along, fat ass," to me. That's what he said to me. Yeah, he did. And he ended, so I'm like, all right, I guess.
Yeah,
okay.
Right. I guess I'll leave then. Yeah, and you paid $200 for that. Anyway, so that was the experience. That was the takeaway from Niagara Falls Comic Con this year for me.
Yeah, it was fun. There was a lot of like decent people there, and it was like it's always a fun time. And I like looking through all the I mean, that's the best part of a con to me is like just looking through booths and like you always I walked away with a like Doctor Doom like brand new like Marvel helmet or whatever that goes on, except I can't get it on my head. Like it's the only helmet I own that will not fit on my head, and I tried jamming that on there. Like I tried like to the point where Jenna had to help me get it off my head because it was so jammed on there.
Really?
Like it was, like I was like determined to get this thing on me, but it was like, it's so cool looking though. Like
it is.
It's really very cool, but it's just come out too. And it was out before the guy had pre-ordered it, and someone already had it. And so I just bought it and then canceled my pre-order, but it was so cool. But
well, and speaking of Doctor Doom, should we?
Is it time for pop capacitor?
I think it is.
Yeah. All right, here we are with the pop capacitor. Today we're talking Fantastic Four. Of course, the brand new movie's coming out this year. I am pumped, as you can see. Yes. Big Fantastic Four fan. I've collected Fantastic Four forever. Even like in the 80s, all through the 80s, part of the 90s. Then I stopped collecting. Then I picked it up again like later on in the early 2000s, and then still collect it. And I'm just a big Fantastic Four fan. And it's a team that's tough to get right. And so this is the first, we're going to talk about the first attempt at it, official attempt. It's Fantastic Four came out or didn't come out. It was done in 1994.
Right.
The movie was never released.
Right.
But you can get it through like sort of like, well, it's on YouTube, but you can get it through bootleg, especially early 2000 or late 2000s. Bootleg started to show up of this movie, and that's where I originally was able to get a copy and watch it. Was from a bootleg that I bought at a fan expo. Like, God, I don't even. It was one of the first ones we went to.
Yes. Yeah.
And so this movie, it's a little confusing because it was made, never released. There's a documentary called Doomed, The Untold Story of Roger Corman's Fantastic Four, which we both have watched as well. So we'll be peppering some info from that in there as well to kind of to bring this whole thing to life, because it's odd when a movie gets made and never released. And this is a full movie. Like, this is like special effects, everything. And this was like the first sort of attempt at Fantastic Four before it was re-released and like redone with like Jessica Alba and all that in like 2005. I think around that that time period. I just watched them all again. Like, I watched all the Fantastic Fours.
Yeah, quite obsessed.
Yeah, I am. And so we'll talk about that today. We'll do our hits and misses. And the description of the story is the when doused with cosmic rays, four intrepid explorers are given incredible powers. So, I mean, if you haven't read the comic, I guess that would be a good description of it. But it was put out by Constantine Pictures, and Roger Corman put it together. And so let's just jump into it. And part of the history of this is that it was basically Constantine Pictures had the rights to it. And this is the basic story. And that if they would lose the rights unless they made the movie, or at least put it into production. And for some reason, the whole movie got made. It didn't really need to be, but the whole thing got made. Roger Corman was one of the investors in it. And everyone thought it was going to get made. Everyone thought it was going to come out, and it just never did.
No, yeah, because I mean, all they needed to do was start production, and that was enough to secure them the rights so that they could go on and make a bigger budget version of this movie later on. That's all they needed to do. But for some reason, they went in full force and completed an entire hour and a half long movie without telling anybody. So this is part of the other thing, is that nobody on the cast and crew knew that this was the reason for this movie. So everybody involved with this movie were quite sure that they were going to be breakout stars because they've now got this really cool Marvel property. Roger Corman was involved. Stan Lee apparently was on set several times, and gave his thumbs up. And so everybody involved in the movie was super pumped, like really, really excited, and they were giving it their all. And they didn't quite understand why their budget was so small, but so it came, like, the people involved put all their heart and soul into this thing. I had no idea that the studio had no intention of ever releasing it. It was literally just to make them more money down the road. So that's the history of this thing.
Yeah, and it actually got to the point where they were like starting to do like going to like cons and stuff to like promote it, and it just never, like, I think they got to a point where they were going to do like kind of a premiere, and then it got pulled from under them, and then that's when they were told this movie's not being released.
Yeah. So it's a really interesting Hollywood story. Like, it's first of all, this is not a great movie, but when you know the story of the movie, it makes it better for you. And this is an interesting thing, because I hadn't watched the doc. I didn't really know about the history of the movie when I watched the movie. And so I just did my hits and misses, and as if it was just a movie. But after watching the documentary and learning the actual story behind it, it totally changed the way I saw this movie, which is very interesting. Like, that's rare to have that experience where you thought the movie was just trash because it was just a terrible movie, but then you realize why, and you realize what the people who made the movie went through, and then you feel sympathy. It's
a tragic Hollywood story, really. Like, and I'm sure a lot of this happens. I'm sure this isn't the first movie of it. It's like, but this was a pretty like big name movie. I mean, it's a big property for Marvel, like Fantastic Four, and it was quite interesting. Like the whole thing of how it didn't get made and how it went through. But we'll do our hits and misses, and we'll kind of like sprinkle some of this in. But if you this movie's available on YouTube. I think it's like it's in English, but it's like there's like subtitles from another country or something on it. But
and you also have to realize that the YouTube version is a VHS dub of a VHS dub of a VHS dub. So it's really poor picture quality. The sound is fine, but I mean you can see it well enough. It's just not. I've watched it twice now on YouTube.
Yeah,
So
I've got it on. I bought a Blu-ray version from eBay. Because I had it on DVD and I think somebody borrowed it and never brought it back. But I have a Blu-ray version, which is a better quality, but still not great.
Really?
But there's a trailer on it, which is excellent quality because it was the original trailer that actually did get released. But the movie's it's a decent quality, but it does have director's commentary and stuff on it too, so it's kind of interesting.
Okay, so that's worth it.
Just also before we start this, I actually did like this movie. Like I knew it wasn't great, but I actually enjoyed it. Before everything, like I always thought it was like kind of a neat take on it, but I knew it wasn't like great because of the budget, so you could tell when you watch it. But but anyways, that's just heading our hits and misses, and we can pepper in some stuff.
Just speaking of budget, real quick, I believe the budget was $1 million.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, $1 million.
That was it. Like $1 million to create a Marvel superhero movie. Like so that just tells you something right there.
Oh yeah, and again. And again, the movie's available on YouTube, and also the doc. I bought the doc, obviously, but the doc is also available on YouTube, and it's called "Doomed: The Untold Story of Roger Corman's Fantastic Four." If you don't want to make your way through the movie, you could probably watch this and get the gist of it from this. And the doc. When was the doc made? 2015.
2015. Yeah, it was about 10 years ago.
Yeah. So these people now reflecting back on, and it has like pretty much everybody from the movies in it, reflecting back on this movie and wondering and still some of them are still a little bitter that it never got made.
I was very surprised at how this many years later, I mean, it was like 20 years later that they made this doc, and these actors are still upset by it. Like they still were quite upset that they lost this opportunity, that all of this. Yeah, it's an interesting doc, and not only does it have all the actors on it, but the director is in this doc, the editor of the movie is in this doc. Like it's so you get a really good perspective of the whole.
Like Roger Corman's in it. Like there's a lot of people in it.
He's actually in it. There are appearances by Stan Lee in it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth watching because there aren't Hollywood. I mean, like you said, there might be Hollywood stories like this, but not the ones that not told very often. So it's interesting Hollywood.
I think because this one has general interest because it's a big property and it has been made into like a regular movie, and this is sort of the lost version of it. This movie. But like being a fan of Fantastic Four, I think I'd appreciate it maybe a bit more than you would, like just generally, because it's like it was exciting to see this version like that this actually existed. Is it great? No. I mean, and then most of that's because of special effects, but was there a lot of heart in it? Yes. So it's let's start our hits and misses, and Larry, you can start us off.
Okay, well we'll start with the positive. I don't have a lot of them, but we'll start with the positive. The score, the musical score of this movie is amazing.
That was one of my hits as well.
It's a fantastic score. Like for a movie of this small a budget. But the interesting thing, it was the score was written by David and Eric Wurst. They're the composers. They were so committed to this movie, and this is the thing: everybody in it was so committed to this movie.
Yeah.
These two guys were so committed to the movie that even though they didn't have a budget, they put around $6,000 of their own money, like from their own pockets, into like renting, I guess, a 48-piece orchestra. Because they wanted this score to be epic. So the studio didn't give them money for that. So it would have been probably a synthesizer or something, but they were so committed to it that they put $6,000 of their own money in. So it's a 48-piece orchestra, and it's really good. Like it's
it's great.
That's part of what keeps this movie afloat, is that the music is really exciting. So big thumbs up on the score.
Yeah, that was one of my hits as well. I was because I remember I was watching it like the first time I ever watched it. I was like, wow, this is actually sounds like it's like you can hear the instruments. Like it's like it's very like a full soundtrack. Like it just sounds like it like a professionally done movie that like Spielberg would do or something like with the action music or whatever, like a
Yes.
John Williams style sort of music. And it's like, it was just so well done. I really enjoyed, the soundtrack on this. Yeah. And the fact that they actually had like a full orchestra, when you think of like these type of movies, like you're saying, it would probably have been like a couple guys, like with one with like a guitarist and a keyboardist. And that would have been like
Yeah.
all you would have really gotten. So
That's all they could have really afforded. So it was that they put their own money into it is just awesome. Yeah.
yeah.
Big thumbs up
The,
there.
One of my hits, which is like for the time and the budget that they had to put this thing together, I thought that the effects actually in this weren't terrible for the time period. I mean, they weren't like there were some things that were a little cheesy, but but like that whole Human Torch bit at the end, which was more like an animation, it was more like almost a cartoon. But
Yeah.
still, I thought was like not bad, like for what it was, and I mean, some of it was a little low key. Like when my favorite was at the end when Mr. Fantastic puts his like long arm out. They get married, like him and Sue get married at the end, and they're in a limo, and his arm stretches out, and you can tell it's just like this mechanical arm that keeps going back and forth, like it's like this
It's like
really super long arm.
Yeah, it's like a tube with a glove on the end of it that is literally just like literally waving like this in the air. It's so bad. And in fact, in the doc, the actor who plays Doctor Doom, whose name is Joseph Culp, who, by the way, is Robert Culp's son. So they got some prestige names in here. He actually comments on that and says he didn't realize what the effects were going to look like because they didn't see them as they were making them, but they did see this arm wave thing at the end because it was a practical effect happening live. And when he saw it, he literally like his stomach dropped. He's like, "Oh, wait a minute, what is happening here? This is what?" So it's a pretty classic. But now you have to remember when you're comparing special effects at the time, this is around the time that Jurassic Park came out. So you compare
but with a much bigger budget.
Huge budget. But you compare those effects, like what they could have done if they had put the money into it, compared to, because like the effects of this one, like there's a lot of like lightning effects because they're hit by gamma rays or whatever they're hit by, and they're
cosmic
like
rays. They're called cosmic rays.
Sorry, yeah, I'm confusing my superheroes. But those are obviously like drawn on, like like it's not good.
Well, the thing with Jurassic Park 2 is like they kind of stumbled upon like a new way to do like an animation that they'd never done before. So that was sort of groundbreaking, that movie. But but yeah, this was not, I mean, for what they had, I thought it was like actually not bad, like some of the special effects and stuff, but we'll get into more of that later. But
so I will piggyback on that because one of my hits was the Thing, like the suit that they used for the Thing. It was actually really good. It was really, really well done for the no budget that they had. It's like a full animatronic face with full expression in the eyes and the mouth and the eyebrows. Like it really, I was very impressed with like the whole look of it. He looked like stone, like he looked. I was like, that's where all the budget went, was in making this animatronic Thing costume. I was quite impressed with that. So that alone is a big standout for me.
Yeah, and the thing is like I watched The Thing, and The Thing is about The Thing. I watched the newer ones, like the ones that had come out, like the Jessica. I always call them the Jessica Alba ones, but the things that costume's not that much better than the one from this movie, really, when you break it down. Like that was actually pretty impressed with that costume. Like the face wasn't great, like as far as like, I mean, looking like the Thing from the comic, but it was pretty close. It was pretty close. But the fact that it was all like, it could have expression in that, I thought that was amazing. Like, actually,
and that was the make or break, because if they really, really messed that up. Like if it had been a hand puppet or so, or something, like the Thing is the only like costumed character, right?
Yeah.
Like I mean, everybody else is human looking. If they had messed up the Thing, it would have been almost unwatchable, this movie. But
Yeah.
because they nailed that animatronic face, it really elevated what they did. I
Yeah.
was quite impressed with that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that part was actually really well done.
Yeah. All right. What do
Yeah.
we got? Do you want to throw a miss in there?
Um, yeah, I'll throw a miss. One of my misses in this was just a little bit of the tone.
Yeah.
They nailed some of it and didn't nail it. The hard part about Fantastic Four is that they are a family and they are a there's I don't want to say a lighter tone. Sometimes it gets dark in the comic, but they're they captured some of that, like the fun of the sort of the family and things like that. But then
Yeah.
there was like really like goofy, like super goofy parts in it that I thought were like that dot. There's a part where they're all after they'd gotten in the accident, they're all being interviewed separately by this like wacky doctor
Yes.
that was like it was almost too goofy. Like the fun of Johnny Storm and stuff like that is always fun. But it fits within the movie. This was almost too like comical. And
Yes.
then because there was really serious parts in this movie too, like kind of like serious tones. And then this like goofballs in it. Like I know it's supposed to be for comedy relief, but it was too crazy. Like it was
Yeah.
too over the top.
I agree. That was my first miss too. I said, well, what was this movie supposed to be? A drama or a comedy? It wasn't. I didn't really know, but it was almost like that they were taking a page from the 1966 Batman TV series for a while.
Mm.
A couple of scenes were that level of goofiness. And in fact, and I think it only happened once. They had a transition between shots that was the four, like the Fantastic Four logo, that came like whirling in to transition, like the old Batman,
Yeah.
uh, like the logo would like shoot forward on the screen and come out to transition. They did it, but they only did it one time. Like they only did one transition. So it was I felt like they didn't know what they wanted to be
Yeah.
so yeah, that was an interesting. I just wasn't sure what this movie was.
Yeah, and sometimes they kind of nailed the tone, and sometimes they didn't. Like they got too goofy, and it got just kind of weird.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
anyways,
yeah. Okay, so let's see. One of my misses with this was that, and this would have had to do with the direction, I think, but everybody way overacted. Like they were every character was so over the top, and just like it wasn't, there was nothing subtle about this movie. Like everything was just over the top. Like when Johnny Storm, there's like the scene you were just talking about with they were being interviewed by a doctor. Johnny Storm was talking about that he had the ability to think of a different of a body part, and there would be like he could flame, he could turn into
yeah,
flame. He was talking about it, and then the doctor says something like, well, demonstrate it for me. And so he puts his hand up and he looks at his hand and says flame on, and his hand flames, and he freaks out. He's like, wow, what is happening here? Oh my gosh, flame off. And then the flame goes away. I'm like, you just explained that you had this ability to do this. Why would this freak you out? And he went so over the top with his reaction to it. I'm like, come on.
I feel like in that scene though he was doing that for the doctor's purposes.
Was he?
I think he was trying to like pretend that he didn't like he was trying to like pretend that he was in pain and stuff, but he wasn't.
Oh,
Oh, you
okay.
missed a big part there. You totally missed
I don't
it.
know. It just seemed so over the top to
He
me.
was of the actors of the four of them. He was
Yeah.
like a few times, like especially like when they first they first crash landed
Yes.
onto back onto Earth. Like,
Yeah.
and he was like kind of big. Like he was big in it. Like
Yeah.
to try, he was trying to. I know what he was trying to do. He was trying to just capture that sort of goofiness of Johnny Storm, but.
Yes.
Sometimes
But
he went a little far on his
it was so over the top, and it was so like heavy-handed. I thought a lot of it was heavy-handed when the before they become their superhero selves. They sort of were all together in one of their homes. I think it was Johnny's home or one of their homes, all four of them, and they were about to leave to go wherever they were going, and they all stopped at the front door, all four of them, and turned around, and Johnny's mother says, "Look at you, the Fantastic Four."
Oh yeah, yeah. That's actually right behind me if you're watching the video.
Yes. Oh yeah, if you're watching it, it's this scene. They stop at the door and the mom says, "Look at you, the Fantastic Four." I was just like, "Oh, come on." Like you didn't need to be that obvious, but it was that sort of thing, and it was a combination of the writing and the directing that was just like, oh my God.
I think if this had gone through like a true Hollywood system, this script would have been rewritten like a bunch of times. Like
100%. Yeah, it was I feel like this was the first draft of the script. That's sort of what it felt like to me. It's like, we got a script, perfect, good. Let's get it going. Considering the studio wasn't intending to release it, they didn't really care if it was good or not. So I mean, it probably was like the first draft or a very early draft of it, and they just went, great, let's go. Oh, because another thing, just going back to the doc, usually the way movies work is there's a script, it's been vetted, it's good, it's 100, the studio's approved, then the actors come in and they do a table read of the script, all the actors together, they do rehearsals of the script. But according to the documentary, none of that happened. So there were no table reads. There was no rehearsal for this movie. The cast met each other literally for the first time on the first day of filming. They had never talked to each other. They had never met. They were like, day one of filming, let's go. And so they had never worked with each other to know how to play off each other. Or
yeah.
So there was just, it was, it shows. Yeah,
that's hilarious. The one of the things I was going to talk about, like just coming off your acting thing, was I actually thought like some of the acting wasn't bad. I thought like I actually thought most of them were I liked Reed Richards a lot. I thought he was actually like low key, and he kind of embodied Reed Richards actually, like especially in the opening scene when they're in the classroom. Like he just, there was like, I thought he was really good. I like Ben a lot, and Sue, like, and Johnny was good. Like Johnny was like, he was a little over the top at times, but I thought and I liked Doom a lot. Like actually, he was over the top, but I think it worked for Doom. Like his Doom is over the top. Like he's kind of he's like totally like into his own like world. So it's like I thought that he was actually pretty good. Like he kind of, I mean, he could have been maybe pulled back a tiny bit, but for what this was, I thought he actually played it pretty well. Like
and I agree. Like they did a good job, and that was the whole thing, is that they were serious about it. All the actors were totally in it. Like they weren't just calling it in. They didn't. There's been lots of big budget Hollywood movies, where you could tell that the actors are just phoning it in. They're just like, just doing this for a paycheck. Let's go. These people were not. These people legitimately like were putting everything into it. So, and you could tell that they were having fun. They enjoyed their time and all of that. So yeah, it does show. It's just very over the top.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that the script had like something to do with like the stuff they had to say, and that was, some of it was pretty cheese, but
yes.
But yeah, like Doom's such an egomaniac. I thought the costume for Doom was good too. Like I thought he actually looked pretty good. Like
it did. And those are the important things, because they have to look like their characters, and they did a good job of that. So 100%. Kudos to their art department and costume department for nailing those things.
I'm going to move into a hit with this one just to bounce off that. I thought this movie was pretty comic accurate, like as far as like the costuming. I mean, again, like none of it was like even they were joking in the doc, like the Fantastic Four outfits themselves, like you can see the stitching sometimes, like on some of the parts of the Sue's four was like kind of under her belt almost, like it was like, but I mean, they obviously had to make some of this quick and cheap. Like, I mean, it was just the way it was. But I thought the costumes looked like the comics costumes. In the like the Doom was good. Like I thought, and I thought the storyline was like fair. Like, I mean, it was fairly accurate. Like I thought a lot of it was like well done in that sense. They put a lot of effort into keeping it very close to the comic. I think
Yeah.
they realized later on. One second, just losing my voice as I usually do.
That's
I found like later on, like when they did the X-Men, they kind of got away from the like the comic book looking costumes.
right.
And they found that's why they like kind of all wear black in that movie because it's like it because they're regular costumes. I don't think at that time could make costumes like they can now to look cool.
Yeah.
So and I think that's just one of the things with those costumes. They're just like as they were, but they again in the new movie, very comic accurate costumes again. So I think it's very cool. I love it.
Yep, I agree. Like it did look like a comic book movie, like a true comic book movie. Like it looked like right out of the pages of a comic book.
Yeah.
That was cool. Like the look of the movie was really fun. Like I totally agree. But like going back to just as a movie itself,
Yeah.
one of my misses was if you weren't familiar with the Fantastic Four and their story, there was like almost zero backstory for certain things. Like for example, when Doom became Doom, when he was hit by the cosmic rays and they thought he was dead. He went to the hospital. The rest of the group was told that he had died. And so he's wheeled to the morgue, and as he's being wheeled to the morgue, the doctor and the doctor's assistant lean over and say, His Highness, we have to save him. So apparently Doom had some sort of cult following before he was even hit by cosmic rays, and he was just, what's his name? Victor, what's his name before he becomes Doom?
Victor Von Doom.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, Victor Von Doom. So when he was just Victor Von Doom, apparently he had a cult following because as soon as he was hit by cosmic rays, all of a sudden these people are like, "Oh, His Highness." I didn't understand that at all. I'm like,
He's a royalty in like Latveria, like where he comes from.
okay,
And so, but that's not really explained in this
no,
movie whatsoever. And it's that's the one thing with the Doom. I honestly I like the Doom the best in this movie than I have any of the other movies that have come out so far as for Doom
really?
because
Why?
none of them have played it like he's supposed to be played, and
Oh,
he's egotistical, and I think this guy nailed it in this movie. Um, even though he's a little bit comicky, but the other ones, the Doom was lame. I didn't like the Doom in either of those movies as much, like
yeah.
as I do in this one. Like
Well, and that's good. So it was more comic accurate. Like it was more what you were expecting as a comic fan.
he's a big over the top character, and it's like and he needs to be played that way. In the other movies, they tried to make him a little more subtle or kind of funny, or like it just wasn't. It just didn't quite fit. Like,
Right.
but
And
this
and
one they nailed it.
and that part's good. It's just the
Yeah,
like
there was
for
no backstory to
there's
why
no
he was.
backstory. So yeah, there was no. I was just like, how does he have a cult following when he was just a scientist? Like, why are
Yeah,
all
he's
people are like, Your Highness, and we have to save him, and then has literally like a cult that followed that is now. There was no
he's
explanation.
like a king of like an actual like piece of like a country in
Oh,
the
okay,
comic, like which they don't
yeah,
explain here, but that's
right. Okay, so that's a
or
little
nor
extra.
in any of them. They do make
Yeah,
references to it, but they don't really like they kind of I don't think they know what to do with it, so
yeah,
they
yeah.
kind of leave it. So
I guess,
um
but even if they had a quick scene of him talking about his lineage, like I've come all the way from Latvia
yeah,
or
that's
wherever.
all you need to do.
That's
Like
all. So I've
I agree.
something that would have made me understand that he was Your Highness. I was like, Your Highness, what? It just seemed very strange to me that he had this cult following right away. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that was kind of yeah, I totally understand. Like it was like if you haven't read the comic, it's like it's like me watching like a DC movie
yeah,
that isn't Superman. Like I don't understand all the little nuances of these characters
exactly. Yeah,
because I just don't know them.
yeah, exactly. That was
um,
my no backstory. Yes.
one of my misses, and it was just more weird in this one, and we had something like this in the last one, just like weird moments that are really cringeworthy.
Yeah.
Um, so they kind of jump through time. So the first of the bit of the movie, Reed and Ben are like in college. And they're staying at Sue and Johnny's house because it's like
Yes.
one of those houses you can rent rooms from or whatever. And so Sue is just a little girl in this movie, like
Yes.
at the beginning, and
Yeah.
Johnny, they're just kids.
Yeah.
And they're all supposed to be younger than they are later in the movie, obviously. And the there's a couple things with this whole relationship, which is weird. Number one, Sue's sort of like smitten with Reed because they end up
Yes.
getting married later on, but
Yeah.
she's just like a young girl. Like
Yeah,
it just
she's like
seems.
12 years old or something.
I
Like
know it just seems
and
like really
he's a
weird.
university, like he's a university, he's in university, so he's got to be like 20 or at
Or
least
yeah, at
20
least
or more than that. So yeah, it was a really that was yeah. Yeah.
it was just kind of weird. And then she's still in love with him like years later. And I was just like, it's just this is kind of a weird relationship all of a sudden. Like
Yeah.
it seemed
Well,
weirder.
and the other thing was that she aged because she was like 12 years old, and then like a couple scenes later they were all adults and she's now an adult,
Yeah.
in her 20s, I guess. And Reed looks exactly the same except he has a little bit more gray in his
Yeah, what
hair.
he does in the comic. Yep.
Yeah, that's his comic look, but his face, like he hasn't aged appropriately for her. Like that like he should be in his 40s or whatever he is. I mean, anyway, it was just yeah.
I thought the age gap was a little much on that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
the other part I found with that whole relationship was so they go into space. Like it's a whole big mission for them to go into space and do this research. And he brings Ben, who I guess is a pilot. Like he is a pilot in the comic. So that kind of makes sense. And
Right.
but he brings Sue and Johnny, who have zero experience
Yes.
in
Yeah.
anything. Like they
Yeah.
like there's like at least in the other movies, Sue's already like a scientist and things like
Right.
that. So it kind of makes sense why they would be involved in it. But in this, he's like, why he goes, we're bringing them because they best know the project. Why would they know like a project that's like a
Yeah.
government project that's way beyond what they should know? Like
Exactly. Like that was part of the backstory. Like there was no backstory. It was he literally Reed came to the house and knocked on the door and asked her mother if she was ready to go to space. I was like, what?
like it's almost like they had zero training. Like they just sort
Yeah.
of came out the door and went into space. Like it didn't make
Yeah.
any sense.
Again, there was like zero backstory for any of it. Like so all of it was so out of context that it didn't. That's part of like that's. I mean, that's not the comic side of it. That's the movie making side of it, and that's part of the lack of scripting that they had. And I just, as somebody who was watching this as a movie, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense at all. Like I don't understand how these two kids are just invited to go to space.
Yeah, as part of like a major crew where
Yeah.
really Reed's the only person that's really qualified to go
Yeah.
and have any sort of because he's like obviously he's the brainiac of the group and it's
Yeah.
like he's the only one like I mean and I guess Ben if Ben's a pilot or an astronaut then he is but the rest of them are like why would they risk the lives and the mom's like yeah okay like they're like she's
Have
like
fun.
I know
Don't
it's
back
like yeah
up.
it's like it's a play date or something
Yes.
it's just so the whole
Yeah.
thing I found really weird with the mom and like
Totally agree. Like that just was such a I don't know. If they had like even a couple of montages in this
Yeah.
movie would have been good. If they had a montage of her training, like her and Johnny training, or training to be an astronaut, or learning the mission, or something like literally like a 1 minute long montage of them getting prepared, you'd have been like, okay, and now they're
yeah,
all
or
going.
Reed's working on it, and then Sue comes up because she's now like trained or whatever, like
Yeah.
something like some sort
Yeah.
of dialogue, so you know that she like because literally in the movie they look like they just walk out their mom's door and go into space.
Yeah.
It really makes no sense. Like
No.
it doesn't like.
So strange. Yeah, yeah. it was-
I find in these movies, and they always want to put the origin story of them in, and it looks like in the new Fantastic Four they kind of jump ahead of that, like it's maybe probably in the credits or something or whatever.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I don't they don't always need to do an origin story, like because I find it just bogs it down. Like I want to see like a good well written story, like without the whole origin part. Like we all know how a lot of these major characters became who they were, but
Yeah.
and make reference to it for sure. But Like it could be done in a couple lines or like that's why I like the
Something.
Hulk, that one Hulk movie. I think it was like I can't remember which one it was, but they had his whole origin was just shown in clips in the credits
Yes,
before the
yes,
movie started. So it's like, okay, he's already the Hulk. Like we know
exactly.
what's going on.
And
So
that's fine. Yeah, exactly. I totally. But this one had nothing. There was
nope,
no, there
nothing.
was, there was nothing. So yeah, there was a bit of that. I only have a couple more here.
Yeah, same here.
One of them, and this is just nitpicky, but the Doctor Doom character, uh, the costuming when they talked about the costuming in the documentary, his costume was actually plastic. It was molded plastic that they riveted together, so it had real rivets in it, so it looked like metal. It was really well done.
Yeah.
But because it was plastic, they had to add a sound effect of metal in his like when his hands moved. So there's this like clinking like of metal. So you got the impression it was so prominent and it was so every single time you saw him, all I could hear was this clinking metal sound. And he did a lot of this. I am Doctor Doom. So that he with his fingers a lot. Like he was constantly like people don't talk like this. He was constantly wiggling his fingers. And because he was doing this, wiggling his fingers, it was the sound of this clinking metal was so prominent. I'm just like, okay, I can't hear anything other than this clinking metal. It's like, stop. I understand
Yeah,
it's a metal.
it was a weird thing to focus on for a
Yes.
sound effect. It's like
Yeah.
the other part of that as well is that his when he talked, they did something. I don't know if they did something to his voice. I think they kind of mentioned it in the doc, but
Yeah.
his voice was like muffled a little bit because it was
Yes.
behind a mask, but they never cleaned it up.
Yeah.
So like I think in the doc he mentions that he thought that he would have had to go in and revoice things and like so
Yeah,
they'd
but
have a nice clean audio of it. And it was like it was not. It was sort of like slightly muffled. Like or
yes.
they did affected it so that it sounded like it was a bit echoey or whatever they
Yeah.
did, but it was not a good effect.
It was not. The costume looked great, and he did a good job. But just these like the clinking metal. And speaking of voices effects, I thought was kind of interesting. The actor who played the Thing, they affected his voice throughout the whole movie too. So they gave it that deeper, gruffer voice
Yeah.
until the last scene. The last scene in the movie is the wedding between Reed and Sue. And they forgot to add the effect to his voice. So through the whole movie, he's got this gruff, like Thing voice. And at the end, he's like, "Okay, make way for Stu and Reed. Everybody move away." They forgot to put the effect on his voice. And it was, I didn't really catch it originally. I noticed that there was something off, but he mentions it in the documentary how they just forgot. They just forgot to change that voice because nobody, like, I don't know, nobody cared at that point, I suppose.
That
But
whole wedding scene had a lot of issues in it. Like it's like I always like in a movie when it's like it kind of finishes and they have sort of a scene like that at the end.
yes,
And it was just so rushed.
it
Like
was.
they like number one, why are they all wearing their costumes at the wedding? Like
Yeah,
they're all in full costume, which made no sense.
no,
And then that was the whole arm scene was in that scene. It's like the last thing of the movie you don't want to see is like the worst special effect of the
yeah,
entire movie, like thrown into that last scene. But it was
yeah,
all kind of awkward. It was just sort of really super rushed and
it
like,
was weird. Yep, it was weird.
and really not a lot of guests at it, considering.
No, considering at this point they were heroes, like you'd think that the whole world would have shown up to see this superhero wedding, but no, they're just some close.
There's a few I had a few other or just coming off your Doctor Doom stuff was
Yeah,
also with the Fantastic Four's costumes.
yeah,
And this has to do with like so Sue made the costumes, just like
yes,
stitched them up, but they were able to like be flame resistant
yes,
for their and when Mr. Fantastic stretched, it
yeah,
stretched with it. Like,
yes,
and actually, there's a few scenes in that movie where his arm stretched and the material stretched with it
yeah,
before he was even like, because in the other movies they explain they have a special like polymorph like
material.
sort of costume that will like adapt to those powers. But
Yeah,
this was just like she just sort of she goes, "Oh, I made these costumes like they weren't
yeah,
like they weren't anything special. They were just stitched up and it was but they all seemed to like work with those characters for whatever reason."
yeah. I had the exact same thing, and it's the whole it's the whole Incredible Hulk phenomenon when what's his name, Bruce Banner turns into the Hulk, and his pants expand as well because the Hulk's always wearing pants,
Yeah.
and the Hulk's pants expand to become the Hulk size. They don't rip to shreds, although the bottoms do, whatever.
Yeah.
But same phenomenon. I thought the same thing. I'm like, how are Reed's clothes stretching and then coming back to shape and not being all wrinkled and droopy because they've just been stretched out like 10 feet? And then, yeah, and Johnny's suit is completely flame resistant. That didn't make any sense to
No,
me.
it totally didn't make sense. Like, it was just like in the other movies, they explain, oh, it's a special costume, so it
Yes.
sort of adapts to their powers.
Yeah.
Because even Invisible Girl, like when she turned invisible in the Jessica Alba, when Jessica Alba turned invisible,
Right.
it's the most references I'll ever make to Jessica Alba in
It's
one
really,
show.
it's amazing.
The unless we ever do that one.
Yeah.
The when she turned invisible, her clothes stayed.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
so until they made a special costume that adapted with it. So it's
Yeah.
like, so that's why this, like a lot of their costume stuff, they just sort of ignored that fact.
Yeah.
That it, like, it just didn't like it stretched and did everything it needed to do with those characters.
And we've already established that Sue really doesn't have any background or training in anything. She's not an astronaut. She doesn't know. She's not a scientist. She's not like how would she know how to make clothes that adapt to these superpowers?
And they obviously weren't. She just sort of like made them. So it's
Yeah.
like,
So anyway, I had that one down there too. I thought that was really funny. I've got one more. This is my last one. Reed Richards like extend arm, like he can stretch. His really his only the only thing he ever did with it was punch people from a distance.
yeah.
And that was it. Like he would stand 10 feet away and his hand would come out and punch them, and that was the only thing he used his stretch powers for. And the stretch was so slow that there's no possible way anybody like would have gotten hit. And even if you did get hit with it, it would have felt like a little like
Yeah.
tap because it was coming so slowly at you that I'm like, why wouldn't you just like walk the 10 feet up and give him like a full blown like hardcore punch? That would have been more effective than this slow like I just thought that was
He was a character that really could have like benefited from good special effects.
yes.
Because I just watched the other ones, and like at one point, Mr. Fantastic turns into like a giant sheet and like wraps
Yeah.
himself around. Like, so they did more with his powers than this one. They obviously, like, you're kind of limited when you don't have like a special effects budget because it is kind of a unique power, right? Like, so it's
Anything. And that was the thing, like the Johnny Storm one, you saw him like full body flame on. I mean, it was animated, but at least you saw like the full flame on and the the flames coming out of the ground when he took off, and
he could shoot flames too. Like,
and all of that you saw. Like that was really cool. And Sue, when she turned invisible, you saw her; she was invisible.
Yeah.
But Reed Richards, I was just like, come on, give him something. Like, but they couldn't afford to do that. So
yeah, his extended arm was about all they could do.
yeah. So
it was so lame.
Yeah. So that covers that.
Yeah, my last thing I have is just there's a character called the Jeweler in it,
Right.
which is like almost like a leprechaunish type
Yes.
like character who there's a diamond and he falls in love with like Alicia, who's like who's blind and like is also kind of falls in love with Ben Grimm, and she's in the comic as well. She's like a major character.
Oh, okay.
And so which I was surprised they put her in it, but she's in almost all the versions of it pretty much. But I was like, why is this character in this? Like, there's so many characters from Fantastic Four. And then when I watched the doc, I realized that was supposed to be the Mole Man, which was like a major character, and they couldn't use him because there's only so many characters they were allowed to use. And Doom was about the only villain they could use. So that's why this character was created. But at first I thought he was really goofy, and then as I watched it more, he kind of grew on me. But now I see why they used him and not the Mole Man, like, or another just general character from the from the canon of like Fantastic Four, but the
But
I
but
guess
this is another case of no backstory. Like as
yeah.
somebody who didn't know that the Mole Man or that character or anything, I was like, who is this guy? Like, why is he here? Like, what is he's got like a jeweler's eyepiece in, and I'm like, what is this guy's I have no idea why he's here.
Yeah, like he's like I guess he was like I was trying to figure out what's the purpose of him, and I guess it was just so they could have that diamond that gets switched out, and then
Yeah,
that's what that screws up their flight.
yeah.
And he sort of like is the leader of all the freaks or whatever. But there was really no freaks. They were just like
No.
people that were just outcasts. They weren't really like they weren't really like freaks like when they accept Ben Grimm into their the jeweler was.
Yeah.
But like he always reminded me of the Penguin from like
Yes.
the second Batman movie. He was very
Totally.
similar to
Yeah.
that. So
I don't know. I just yeah, I thought that was very interesting. Who is this guy?
yeah, it's
Uh,
just sort of a weird character to throw in there, like
yeah,
on top of Doom, make it like
it was odd. Okay, so I want to bring up one more thing from the documentary side because so this movie was what it was. $1 million. The special effects were what they were, but what the movie could have been was very different because in the documentary they talk about the people who auditioned to be in this movie.
oh right, yeah.
Not the cast here, but they actually auditioned. Mark Ruffalo auditioned for the movie. Renee O'Connor, who is Gabrielle in the Xena TV show.
Yep.
Nick Cassavetes, Titus Welliver from Lost was cast or was auditioned. Melora Walters was auditioned. Patrick Warburton was auditioned for this movie.
Yeah.
Like some really, I mean, this was early '90s, so they hadn't all broken through yet. But that's the caliber of actor who auditioned to be in this. Like that's what this movie was supposed to be. Like people were excited to be part of this thing, and those are the people who didn't get cast.
Yeah. No, it was
you know,
I mean, there's a lot of potential in this movie, and it's like, I mean, we might as well kind of wrap up here, but for me, like, I think it's worth a watch. Like, I think it's like, if you're into the, like any of the Marvel stuff or whatever, it's kind of neat to see some of the, like where some of it started before it became like the Marvel machine that it is now.
yes,
And I thought for what it was, for the budget they had and like obviously everything that was put against them. I thought they did a pretty good movie. I think I would have been proud of that movie if I would have been in it. Like I mean, it's not the best, but
yeah,
a lot of that's budget concerns. And I think like
sure.
the actors at the time were fine that were cast, and like they weren't big names, and that's maybe part of the problem too. They probably would have bigger budget would have meant bigger names.
Yes,
Like I
yeah.
don't know if these guys would have been cast had they had a bigger budget, but I don't know. So
But yeah,
um
and I agree. And when I first saw the movie, I just hated it. I just thought it was the worst movie I'd ever seen. But honestly, after watching the documentary, it totally changes things, and I have a lot more respect for this movie and what they ended up pulling off than I did before. So if you're gonna watch the movie, please try to watch the doc as well because it'll give you a whole different perspective
it's
on
so interesting.
yeah, yeah, it's actually pretty cool, and I feel like they should release because in the documentary the actors say they should do a release like an actual DVD release with a better version of this movie so that it can get out there. It will develop a cult status, and it already has. And I
Yeah.
just feel like these guys, the people who made it, are due that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like they're owed that. 20, 30 years later, I think that they should be recognized for what they did because it isn't bad. It's cheesy and goofy and whatever, but they did the best they could
It's
possibly do.
like it's a lower budget and it's of its time. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like they're limited just because the special effects hadn't gotten to where they were.
yeah,
But I mean, as far as like you could tell the people that made it like knew the comic. They really tried to do the best they could with it.
yeah.
And I know I enjoyed it. Like I've watched it twice, like even just now, and it's like obviously I rebought the Blu-ray and
Yeah.
I'm right into this movie now. I don't know
Love it.
why, but
Love it.
it's good every time I watch all the like so I watched it. I watched the 2005 and 7 Fantastic Fours. I
Who,
watched
who who were in those ones?
Jessica Alba was in it. I don't know
Oh,
if you know
right.
who-
Yes, that's right. Yep.
She was in. I don't know if you know her or not, but she was in it. Jessica Alba. I don't know if I.
Right, Jessica
Yes.
Alba.
And then I watched the 2015 one, and then now I'll be ready for the newest one, which I am so pumped for. I cannot wait.
I'm really excited for this one. I think this looks so slick. I'm pretty stoked for this one too.
Yeah, this will be pretty cool. So, but anyway, so yeah, there's Fantastic Four for you. Again, available on YouTube if you want to watch it, and Doom's on there as well. But it's
watch them both.
Yes, you got to watch them both. I think you should watch the movie first.
Yes,
and then watch Doom, and then you have better perspective of what you just watched. So it's very interesting. 1-2 punch. So 1-2 super long armed punch.
yeah, that.
So that's it for the show. Thanks for joining us. We got, I think, 2 more episodes of this season. Yep. So I'm Loop.
And I'm Larry.
And this was Guardians of Geek. Thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Produced by Matthew C. Loop and Lawrence Simner. A Loop and Larry production.
Bueller.
He likes it. Hey, Mikey.
Bueller.
Bad news. Fog is getting thicker.
And Leon's getting larger.
Inconceivable.
Brian's right. It's an elf.
Wax on.
Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
Oh, Captain, my captain.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Wax off.